Yeah, this one turned out quite different to what I expected. I mean, I'm here next to the heavy modular frame factory in the Dune Desert. Very nice place. And you see the big beautiful belt, my large road from the east to the west ends there currently. I want to expand the road a bit. And in this area it shouts to me, please build something, build something. So I really want to do some there. And maybe later on I continue the big beautiful belt with a little bit of a loop. You see on the right hand, at the very end, there it comes. There's a coal mine you have seen before. So maybe I do a loop around there and do some. So lots of more stuff can happen in the Dune Desert because it's so full of resources. As you see here on the map, it's heaps of stuff around. Let's zoom in a little bit. So there I am. And that's the heavy modular frames factory. And there's tons of stuff. I still have coal here, heaps of coal. I have sulfur nearby. There are crystals, yeah. So copper, iron, and limestone. So it's all there. So it really demands that I have to build something there. The only question is what? And I got a bit curious with one of my expansion mods I'm using. The mod is named Refined Power Mod. Because in the Refined Power Mod, when you have it active, there is a milestone called Modular Reactors. Sounds like a fancy way to get more energy, and that makes me, of course, very, very curious. So I trigger that milestone and send my stuff into the sky. Elevator, here it comes. And that shall give me some new content. And that is, you can see it here, elements for the modular reactor. I'm doing here very quickly, cheap and dirty, some modular engines which I need to proceed. For that I just punch some storage behind the manufacturer and fill them by hand manually via dimensional depots. But quick and dirty works. The reactor itself, I'm standing on top of it already, is in the Refined Power Mod. There's quite a bit of stuff there. I can build up a bit more. And let's see what it will become. So I'm totally blank there. I can build some reactor chambers. Okay, they're flipping around wildly. I can't really see that there's a sequence, so it looks like I can punch it in wherever I want. Or better, to wherever it snaps. No. Where should I place it? Yeah, let's go there. There, okay. And then the next one snaps to it. Okay, well this way I ramp up kinda reactor. Yeah, looks like half of a reactor. I mean, well, it's a big cooling tower. Come on. And I see some pipes. No idea what these are for. There are no signs on it. What has to go in or... Okay, I can configure some stuff, and that menu looks like something needs to be balanced, so you better don't go into the red. Okay, but with what? Okay, it's about fuel and I reckon some whatever fluid. The other one's temperature, I reckon. So yeah, I have no idea what for that is. And I will simply have to learn it by try and error. Let's see. There's another way to get a menu. It looks very fancy, lots of buttons to press. Yeah, if I do anything, nothing happens here. So obviously it needs something to be prepared before I can do anything. Big mystery. And it's not exactly self-explaining, but look on the top, there is a tab called user manual. I'll look on that in a second. Here I find manual feed. So I can put in something, whatever that is. Random stuff I can throw in, and there's another feed where I can throw in random stuff. So no labels, nothing, what these are for. So it's really a try and error thing. Also the pipes there, no idea. But as mentioned, there's a user manual. That says a lot about planning a factory, how to start. And planning a factory, okay, you need to understand the order. Yeah, that's brilliant. But which order of what? How to start the reactor. Yeah, I would love to start it, but maybe I need first to understand what I actually need. This one says a bit more. Look at that. There's a green fuel level. Some fuel. Coolant level and water. So we're talking about some fuel, coolant and water. There's another milestone that I can get. Modular Reactors cooling. Since we talked about coolant, maybe I'll have to do some there. I'll trigger that. And I get more elements which I can attach to that modular reactor. Nice. It looks more and more fancy. But the big question is, what does it do? Yeah. Let's see. If I go there in, that's the same menu. Don't see much of a change. We have seen that before. I can't really say that anything changed. So I'm throwing in a random manufacturer somewhere to check if I got something new. And yes, I got now coolant powder. You've seen on the very top coolant powder. Yeah, there it is. And it needs limestone, coal, and bauxite. Ta-ta, game over. In this area is no bauxite. Yeah, I could fly it in because I got drones now too, very much at the same time. But bauxite, I really like to get that in via conveyor. And since it's not nearby, that means if I want to do the modular reactor, it may be better in an area where I have these elements, limestone, water and so on, and bauxite, which is not here. So I do some different. I do supercomputer. Of course I need these supercomputers for the other stuff that I have to build afterwards. So if I want to get phase 4 done, I better have my supercomputers. I want to have 2 of my manufacturers running for the production of supercomputers, and that needs lots of plastic. Heaps of plastic. So since I've drones, I decided, why not fly it in? So if I work with drones, I need 2 things. The product I want to fly in and the fuel which runs the drones. And I can get both relatively nearby in this wonderful, beautiful area where I always love to build in a playthrough. Near these column rocks, it looks really great. There are some nice oil nodes. And here I run my production of fuel and plastic. And to ensure I can transport the fuel or package it, so some of the plastic has to be victimized to be used for the fuel production. With that, I get more plastic into my supercomputer factory. You see the yellow drawn points are for fuel and the turquoise ones are for the plastic. I need, of course, packagers for unpacking because I need to return the empty canisters. So I have 2 drawn points running for that. And since I got way more fuel than my drones actually need, I thought, why shall I not use that for turbo fuel and run a few generators? Because this production line here will need some energy. And I decided I have to produce my computers here. You see the manufacturers on the line, 6 of them. Because all my computers, which I'm producing, it mostly already gobbled up for another production element, so it's not arriving here, so I better produce it also in this factory. Yeah, adaptive control units need lots of computers, so not much here. With that, I'm fine. all I need to do is bring here in some sulfur to get my compacted coal. That's nice. Coal was nearby, not a problem. So more or less directly next to the building. And with that, I'm having a few refineries running for my turbo fuel. I see a bit of generators here, which is quite nice. So I get more energy just as a byproduct. How cool is that? These are not overclocked, so if we look into this, you will find no overclocking. That's a standard generator. But hey, isn't it nice? As a byproduct of the build, I have some more energy. That is welcome. Yeah, so not overclocked. It's okay, and see, my production was already in the 40,000, so that's quite nice at this stage, but I will need more later on. So my drones are here, and as it turned out, I need more plastic. So I had to install a second drone port for plastic. So how do I get this here? Yeah, I had to build another area, another platform for refineries at the northern coastline, a beautiful, beautiful area in this map of the game. And I just need one drone port here because I'm producing a very low amount of packaged fuel just for the drone. And I stop any other production. Of course, I take the luxury here that I'm using the heavy oil that is used for the plastic production, that I'm using that to mix it with water to get some fuel, diluted fuel. And with that, I'm running here very nicely, you can count it, 40 fuel generators. I couldn't be bothered now this time to go for turbo fuel. I just let it consume the fuel directly. All I needed is a bit of water input and then mix the stuff nicely to become diluted fuel. This diluted stuff is really nice. So whenever you go for alternative recipes, there's a lot of stuff in between where I can't see much of a value. But whenever you see the word diluted, oh, that is good stuff. Yeah, and then a bit of facade around it and ensure that the drone can properly land on the platform. I'm using then again the upside down mod to have a surface that kinda matches to the environment it stands in. Because I really like to see my factory being integrated in the environment. And thanks to the decoration mod, I can then place plants on top which match nicely to all the little islands around it. And with that, this factory fits in, by my understanding, very, very nice in the northern coastline. Isn't it a beauty? And I really like this environment on the map. It is so nice. So especially when you work lots of hours in a harsher environment like in Dune Desert, it's very nice to come to this place and see all the lovely stuff. Yeah, with that, from my factory, I had to build additional now the original fuel and plastic production, using here the 3 oil nodes. And finally it looked like this. Little giveaway, I do some train later on. And running with that, 2 drones just to transport the packaged fuel, and 1 drone to transport the plastic. Because I needed so much plastic, as mentioned before, I had to build a further plastic factory just to deliver by 1 drone the plastic, consuming quite a few nodes here, quite a few oil nodes with a long pipe linked into the plastic production. I try to minimize the impact on this beautiful area, so the pipes are going through there with stilts, and then comes this very nice, beautiful factory building. The walls, again, the round corners and the round windows are from the architecture mod, which I think is very nice in between. Here the supercomputer factory in its final stage. So it's next to the heavy modular frames factory. The big beautiful belt does a bend. Here's a production area. And we have the incoming drones. And that's the area where I just simply burn the overload of fuel, which I changed to turbo fuel. So I have my energy production increased on the fly while building the supercomputer factory. And I think the result looks quite alright. In the dune desert it's not always that nicely integrated, because the dune desert means it's just sand. And having a roof which is just sand doesn't look so sexy, but at least I can place some rocks to look a bit more similar like the environment. So halfway there. Yeah, the drones are really busy bringing in stuff, and with these 2 plastic plants I had enough. With that, see you next time, and then I really want to try and go for the modular reactors. Cheerio, bye bye.